Do you feel tired, even after a seemingly light day? Have you ever had that feeling of exhaustion for no clear reason, as if something was slowly draining your energy? What if I told you that maybe the problem isn't out there, in the traffic, in the tasks, or in the people, but inside your own home? Yes, your home. It may be directly interfering with your emotional state, and the scariest thing is that this happens silently, every day, without you even realizing it. Does it seem exaggerated? So stop and think. How do you feel when you enter your home? Immediate relief or restlessness you can't explain, because everything you see, and especially what you don't see, carries energy. An environmental energy where you live acts on your mind all the time, and when this energy is blocked, charged, or poorly distributed, it directly affects your balance, your breathing, and your mental clarity. The problem is that no one teaches us to recognize these invisible signs. You learned how to make your bed, maybe even choose beautiful decorations, but no one taught you to notice when a room is emotionally overwhelming you, when your living room, bedroom, or even that forgotten drawer is contributing to your stress. Even if everything seems organized, there is a hidden tension in many homes that cannot be resolved with cleaning or renovation, because what is at stake here is not just aesthetics and well-being. How many times have you found yourself without energy right after getting home? Or did you feel your mind racing even within the space where, theoretically, it should find rest? This doesn't happen by chance. The environment in which you live speaks to your mind. The way the light enters, the objects you store, the furniture you lean on every day. All of this influences, much more than you imagine, the way your balanced mind. He tries to maintain himself amidst the chaos of his routine, but perhaps the most curious thing, and the most urgent thing, is the following. You may have been living with these blocks for so long that you no longer notice them. And this silent normalization is what makes everything even more dangerous. Because little by little, you will think that this tiredness is just part of life, that the anxiety that haunts you at the end of the day is just a result of work, that the weight you feel on your shoulders when you wake up comes from outside, when in fact, it might be coming from the place where you should feel lighter, your home. And this is where the urgency lies. Because while you ignore these signs, the energy in your home continues to interfere with yours, draining your focus, weakening your disposition, sabotaging your peace of mind. The good news? There is a way back, and it starts when you learn to see what was invisible until now. But before you know how to transform this, you need to understand what is really happening inside your home. And that's what we're going to reveal next, because when you discover the true factors that silently affect your energy every day, you never look at your home the same way again. Do you come home wanting to rest, but instead of relaxing, your body feels heavy, your mind agitated, and a strange sensation of discomfort in the air? If this sounds familiar, know that you are not alone. Many people face this daily fatigue without realizing that it starts in the place that should offer relief, your home. When the environment stops nurturing and begins to overwhelm, your well-being, mental clarity, and even your disposition are affected. Today, you will discover what is behind this constant feeling of exhaustion, and most importantly, how to transform your home into a true haven of balance and energy. I'll show you how small changes in the environment they can renew your mind, ease anxiety, and completely transform the way you live in your space. And the best part, they are practical actions, possible and with real effects on your daily life. Now, I want to invite you to participate in something bigger. Write in the comments, in a single word, how your home makes you feel today. This simple answer may reveal more than you realize. And as you read what other people are sharing, you'll realize there's an entire community going through the same experiences. And if you know someone who keeps saying they are tired and overwhelmed, share this video now. It could be exactly what that person needs to begin a transformation. What are you about to discover here has the power to completely change the way you see your home, and most importantly, how you feel inside it. Every detail I will show you can become a turning point in your search for well-being, clarity, and a balanced mind. So stay with me until the end, because this step could be the beginning of a new relationship between you and the space you call home. Every house talks, some in whispers, others in dense silences that echo louder than any sound. There are spaces that hold stories that no one told, memories that have not been erased, and feelings that are hidden between walls, floors, and objects. The energy of the environment is not limited to what is visible. It propagates in almost imperceptible details. The creak of a door that no one fixes, the cold glow of a light that bothers without explanation, the curtain that prevents the sun from coming in as it should. All of this emits signals, and when the house starts screaming, even if silently, it's impossible to ignore for long. The muffled sound of hurried footsteps, the persistent buzz of notifications, the irregular rhythm of your breathing when you walk in, and instead of relaxing, your body responds with tension. These are the little clues that reveal something is out of alignment. Your home should welcome you. I should return you to yourself. But what happens when it becomes a field of distractions, of emotional overload, of stagnant energy? The silent scream of the house does not come with words. It manifests itself in sensation, an uneasiness that has no clear cause, but that lives there, in forgotten corners, in automatic choices, in the excess of visual information that your eyes register before you even realize it. Everything you feel when you enter an environment has its origin. The arrangement of the furniture, the colors that surround you, the sound that fills the background, or lack thereof, the smell that surrounds you. Each element contributes to building an energetic atmosphere that, day after day, shapes your emotional state. A balanced mind is not built with meditation or rest alone. It also depends on the scenario where your emotions live. If this scenario squeezes you, distracts you, interrupts you, what happens to your clarity, your productivity, your peace? Your home holds more than objects. It keeps fragments of your routine, your history, and your vital energy. It is the most honest reflection of your internal world. When you walk through a hallway that's too narrow, your body feels it. When a wall hides light that could brighten your days, your mood responds. When a piece of furniture occupies a space that could be used for breathing, your thinking slows down. The energy of the environment profoundly impacts the way you act, think, and relate. Therefore, transforming your home is also transforming your life experience. There is a natural rhythm that the body recognizes, a silent harmony that it feels when the space is aligned with its essence. But when that rhythm is disrupted, the response comes in the form of emotional exhaustion, constant distraction, and a feeling that something is always out of place. Often the problem isn't a lack of time or external pressure. It's the way your home channels, or blocks, the energy you need to live well. This is why environments with excessive visual stimuli can generate anxiety, why dark and stuffy rooms lower your mood, why do certain places in the house become impossible to live in. For more than a few minutes, the mind needs breaks, the body needs lightness, and your home needs intention, because it is with intention that it transforms into a healing environment. This starts with listening to what is out of tune, what weighs you down, what generates emotional noise even when everything seems silent. The muffled sound in the house is not just a sensory problem. It is an invitation to look within, to understand that what you ignore in physical space manifests, in some way, within you. And no matter how much you try to ignore it, your body feels it. The lack of fluidity, the excess noise, the blocked energy. In every corner of the house where light doesn't enter, where air doesn't circulate, where objects have been sitting still for months, maybe years, there is a story being told, or not told, and this story reverberates with you. That's why transforming your home starts with sensitivity. It starts with attention to detail, because it is these details that silently shape your emotional experience. Every object has a presence. Every wall holds vibrations. The way you walk through space, the places where you rest, the corners you avoid without knowing why. All of this makes up the energetic field that acts on your mind and your well-being. A balanced mind needs an environment that supports it. May it invite you to silence, focus, real rest. But when the house is full, even without visible clutter, emotional fatigue sets in. And the most challenging thing is that, over time, this feeling becomes familiar. The discomfort normalizes, and you stop questioning what bothers you, because you've gotten used to it. But there is something deeper that can be observed. The way the sounds of the house dialogue with the sounds of your mind, the internal noise that doesn't stop when everything seems quiet, the tension that continues even when the lights go out. This is all a reflection of an imbalance between the environment and what you need to feel. Your home shouldn't compete for your attention. She should support her. And for this to happen, it is necessary to review choices, Reposition furniture, free up spaces, allow energy to circulate. You need to listen to what your home has been trying to say, not in words, but in the way she makes you feel. Every uncomfortable feeling you experience between four walls can be linked to an accumulation of energy, an excess of memories that no longer make sense, a lack of spaces for true pause. And all of this can be adjusted. The first step is to recognize that this silence is not empty. It's loaded with messages. And when you start listening, you realize how connected your home is to your emotional health. Because there is a truth that few people see. The house also gets sick. And when this happens, it transmits this state to those who live in it. A saturated, stuffy house, congested with old things and vibrations, becomes a mirror of the disordered mind. Therefore, the energy of the environment is one of the pillars of your well-being. A space that doesn't breathe, doesn't allow you to breathe. An environment that does not move stops its own expansion. And the more this pattern repeats itself, the more difficult it is to access the lightness, clarity, and sense of peace that we seek so much. But this is just the beginning. What comes after is even deeper, because understanding that your home is talking to you is just the first stage. The next step is to learn to decipher this invisible language. And when you start to see the space with more attentive eyes, you discover details that previously went unnoticed, and which now appear to be key points of transformation. And that is precisely why the next stage of our path is so essential. It will reveal in a practical and sensitive way how each small adjustment can be the beginning of a new vibration in your home and within you. Your perception of what you feel inside your home has just taken the first step towards something much bigger. What seemed to be just discomfort, agitation, or unexplained tiredness begins to reveal itself as a direct reflection of the energy of the environment that surrounds you every day. If your home has been sending out subtle, and until now ignored, signals, it's because something inside is asking for attention, for care, for transformation. And most importantly, this care is not limited to aesthetics or organization. It touches the root of your emotional experience within the space. You already understand that the silence in your home is not an absence, but a disguised presence, and that behind every sensation that holds you back or wears you down, there is a vibration that can be realigned. This is exactly why what comes next is so valuable, because in the next few minutes you'll begin to see your home as a living organism, with energy entry and blockage points, with signs that need to be read, and with spaces that, when adjusted with intention, bring about an immediate shift in the way you feel. Now that you've learned to listen to what your home has been trying to say, it's time to give it a voice. It's time to understand how to transform this silent scream into fluidity, well-being, and connection with who you really are. Continue here, because the next step will open your eyes to specific points that you may have never noticed before, and which, adjusted with awareness, have the power to restore lightness to your space and balanced mind. Each discovery from now on will show you that your home can be your greatest ally in building a lighter, more centered and more connected life with your true energy. Have you ever tidied everything, organized every corner, opened the windows, lit incense, or prepared an entire space to rest, and yet you felt a restlessness that wouldn't go away, as if something invisible in the air keeps keeping you on alert, as if your body were sitting, but your mind remained in motion, rotating between thoughts, stimuli, discomforts that you cannot explain? This happens more often than you might think. And it's not a lack of effort. It's the environment manifesting itself, and your home reacting to your presence in a way that doesn't welcome, but repels. There are houses that seem to impede rest, as if blocking the entrance to calm. Spaces where, no matter how much you want to take a deep breath, there is always something that squeezes your chest or steals your attention. This type of sensation is very common in busy environments, with stagnant or poorly distributed energy. When your home is not vibrating in tune with your need for well-being, it begins to take you away from the comfort you seek so much, and there doesn't need to be a mess for this to happen. An apparently clean but energetically congested home can generate as much discomfort as a visually chaotic environment. The energy of the environment goes beyond aesthetics. It pulses according to the intentions, memories, and vibrations that you place there, and that remain, even after you believe that everything is in order. The body feels before the mind understands. A repetitive noise coming from the refrigerator, a lamp vibrating almost imperceptibly, the way an object is positioned in the corner of the room. All these small stimuli generate micro-reactions, and these accumulated micro-reactions become macro effects on the way you feel. A balanced mind depends on sensory harmony, and your nervous system responds to any and all signals that the environment emits. Your home constantly speaks to your body, to your breathing, to your focus. And when this communication is out of step, the result is the feeling of restlessness that appears even in moments of silence. It is possible to clean the house, put everything in its place, and still feel like something is wrong. Because the cleaning that the space needs is not just physical. There is an invisible layer that also needs to be renewed, the energetic layer. This energy can be trapped in inherited furniture that carries heavy stories, in paintings that no longer represent who you are, in objects accumulated out of obligation and not out of choice. All of this communicates. All of this builds a field of information that directly influences your emotional state. When this field is dense, it rejects peace. When space is not a reflection of your lightness, it prevents you from accessing the calm you so desire. And there's no point insisting on superficial techniques when what's at stake is the house's deepest vibration. When the home repels rest, it is sending a clear signal. Something needs to be reviewed. The place where you live needs to be aligned with your intention of peace, your need to breathe calmly, to think clearly, to feel safe within your own territory. Any invisible noise that blocks this flow directly impacts your well-being. The energy in the house needs to circulate. It needs to flow freely, with lightness, with presence. And for this to happen, you need to understand that everything that is there, every detail, is in constant communication with your emotional field. The idea that the house can repel may sound uncomfortable at first glance, but this deconstruction is fundamental. Because only when this silent effect is recognized does it become possible to transform it. There are environments that generate anxiety, not due to excess information, but due to the lack of intention. Places that were created to please the outside eye, but were not designed to nourish those who live there. And when you live in a space like this every day, your body and mind notice the misalignment and react. The house starts to repel you every time you try to stop, every time you seek silence and find tension, every time you try to center yourself and the environment pushes you out. And this is no coincidence. It's a reflection of a home that needs attention, adjustments, more conscious choices. Because when the environment begins to reject calm, it is actually reflecting an accumulation of forgotten intentions, of repeated patterns, of unfiltered stimuli. And while this cycle continues, the mind remains on alert, trying to defend itself from a space that, in theory, it should welcome. The house stops being a refuge and becomes a source of constant tension. This is why even activities like meditating, reading a book, or simply taking deep breaths become difficult in certain rooms. The environment opposes the state you want to achieve, and this type of opposition needs to be stopped with conscience. The transformation begins the moment you notice this movement. When you understand that it's not enough to tidy up on the outside, you need to heal from within. It is necessary to reorganize the space with a view that goes beyond the functional, who sees the house as an extension of your vital energy, your emotional cycle, your internal frequency. A home that repels its own resident is asking for a listening ear. You are asking for release, for presence, for reunion. It is asking to become again a space that sustains, that renews, that shelters. And that's exactly why the next step on this journey is so important. Because what you're about to discover is how to reverse this effect, how to dissolve the invisible density that prevents rest, how to recreate, with intention and sensitivity, an environment that draws you in, rather than pushing you out. This change starts in the details, but expands to your entire life experience. And what follows will show you exactly how to start this transformation. You've already started to see your home in a new way. From the moment you recognize the subtle signs of rejection that she emits, you also begin to reclaim the possibility of living in an environment that truly welcomes you. This realization marks the beginning of a profound transformation, and believe me, it is just the beginning. Each video you find here is another step on this path of reconnecting with your space, with the energy of the environment, and with what nourishes your balanced mind. That's why, subscribe to the channel now. This way, you follow this journey completely and learn, with each new content, how to create a home that sustains your peace, expands your well-being, and strengthens your vital energy every day. You are part of a community that is choosing to transform its home into a true emotional refuge. And the next episodes will delve even deeper into this change. Your home feels when you choose to care for it conscientiously, and your body responds to this choice with more lightness, more clarity, and more presence. Stay with us. What follows will reveal how every detail can become an ally in building a lighter life, inside and outside the home. There is a type of peace that does not depend on silence, the absence of noise or distance from the world. It comes from another source. It arises from within and is supported by what is around it. It manifests itself when the space you inhabit is in tune with how you feel, when the environment breathes with you. And it is precisely here that the true concept of refuge is born. It's not about an aesthetically perfect, immaculate, or minimalist place in appearance. It's about a space that understands you, a place where your energy can spread freely, where time naturally slows down, and your balanced mind finds support to exist lightly. Refuge is not just in far-off places, in isolated huts or silent monasteries. The refuge can, and needs, be inside your home. The anatomy of a refuge goes far beyond decoration. It starts with the way the environment is positioned in relation to your presence. A space that is a refuge invites introspection without requiring effort. It welcomes you gently, without competing for your attention with excessive visual stimuli, with purposeless objects, or with memories that tie you to what has already happened. The refuge does not pressure you to be productive, nor does it require you to be willing when you need to rest. It welcomes all its versions. He understands your cycles. He respects your energy the way it is. And for this to happen, the environment must have been designed with this intention from the beginning. The peace that is born from space is rooted in choices made over time. It is the conscious presence of every detail that builds a place where the body rests and the soul is renewed. Think about how your body behaves in truly welcoming environments. Breathing deepens, the shoulders relax, thoughts slow down, the mind stops seeking control. This doesn't happen by magic. This is a direct result of the relationship between the energy in the environment and the internal energy you carry. When this exchange is balanced, everything flows more naturally. And it is exactly this harmony that forms the basis of refuge, a place where the feeling of belonging does not depend on words, where everything around you contributes to your emotional well-being and mental balance. The house needs to have this role. It needs to offer you more than shelter. She needs to be emotional support. It needs to be a source of regeneration, a space where every corner was chosen with conscience, where light enters and talks to objects, where textures invite touch and not surveillance, where circulation between environments allows you to flow with your own internal movements. A home that is. A refuge has an energy that gently surrounds you. It doesn't demand constant attention. It gives you presence back. And presence is what heals. Because when you are whole in the now, the body finds its rhythm and the mind finds peace. This space begins to be built when you understand that the home has a soul, that the energy of the environment absorbs everything that is experienced there, that the walls record the intensity of the days, and that the objects accumulate more than function. They accumulate emotion. Therefore, it is impossible to create a refuge in a place that is saturated with forgotten intentions. The transformation process needs to clear this waste, make space for the new, and reconfigure each element with purpose. The refuge needs to be designed as a breathing field, a place where you breathe without defenses, where there is no excess stimulation competing with your rest, your calm, or your clarity. A place where everything is exactly enough, and that sufficient does not mean empty. It means essential. It means that the space is aligned with what is good for you, with what sustains your vital energy. A sofa that truly welcomes you, a table that invites connection, a corner that allows silence to be comfortable, an aroma that evokes good memories, a light that warms, that relaxes, that invites you to withdraw when the day comes to an end. This is the anatomy of refuge, a set of sensory and emotional experiences that translate into continuous peace. A home that requires no explanation, because everything in it speaks to you without saying a word. The refuge is not far away. He is in consciousness. It's recognizing that your home has the power to be that point of support between you and the world, a place where you let go of accumulated tension, where your mind finds rest without needing to escape reality. When the space is built for this, it becomes the emotional foundation of everything you experience. That's where you come back to collect yourself. That's where you find yourself again when everything seems scattered. It is there that you understand that well-being is not just the absence of problems. It is the presence of harmony. It is the presence of balance. It is the presence of yourself. Therefore, refuge is the most intimate expression of the relationship between home and your inner state. This is when the environment stops being a backdrop and becomes the protagonist of your well-being. When the house stops being a functional space and becomes an emotional space. A place that exists to sustain your pauses, your flows, and your transformations. A space that understands your need for silence, but that also knows how to accompany your moments of movement. The refuge is the house in a state of presence. It's the living house, the conscious home. And it is this awareness that gives rise to everything that comes after. The construction of this space does not depend on luxury, size, or style. It depends on intention, listening. Pay attention to the signals your body sends when you enter each room. It depends on your willingness to transform what was automatic into something authentic. And what you will discover next is exactly that. How to start building this refuge, piece by piece, gesture by gesture. How to allow your home to become this constant emotional support point, this solid foundation that supports your lightness, your clarity, and your balanced mind. The journey continues, and what comes next will further transform your space and the way you live within it. Perhaps right now, some part of your home is calling you more softly. A forgotten corner, a light that you never really noticed, a chair that invites you to rest, but that you haven't visited in a while. Sometimes, transformation starts there, with a new look at what has always been present. When you allow the environment to breathe with you, something changes, and this change leaves marks. A simple gesture, a conscious choice, can be the first step to making your home a space that supports your breaks and embraces your energy as it is. Now write the words, emotional refuge, in the comments. These 2 words have the power to mark the beginning of your transformation. When you write, you recognize it. When you share, you inspire. And in doing so, you also help others realize that it is possible to live in an environment that welcomes, sustains, and heals. Write in the comments the words, emotional refuge. It's more than commenting. It's affirming, with intention, that your home can be the place where your peace begins. Peace does not come where there is no space for it to enter. Before any attempt to organize, align, or harmonize an environment, there is a previous step. Silent, but essential. Emptying. And emptying, in this context, is not just moving objects or opening up physical space. It's about opening an energy field. It's allowing the environment to breathe, allowing the energy of the place to move freely. It's giving voice to what is suffocated beneath layers and layers of accumulation. Material, emotional, visual. The healing void is an act of courage. It's a conscious choice to break the cycle of constant filling and allow the silence of the home to reveal what needs to be transformed. There is something profoundly liberating in the gesture of taking away. Remove what is in excess, that occupies without purpose, that has already fulfilled its role, but remains there out of habit or attachment. When you start to empty, you realize that much of what remains around you no longer represents you. And this realization is powerful because it puts you in front of the possibility of recreating the relationship with the space you inhabit. The energy of the environment, when overloaded with stimuli, prevents you from hearing your own presence. Physical excess turns into mental excess. The invisible disorder of space becomes internal confusion, jumbled thoughts, tiredness. For no reason. Emptying is not an act of loss. It is an act of reconnection. This is when you decide to open clearings in the middle of the accumulation and let the light penetrate again. This is when you remove objects that carry stories that are no longer yours and, in doing so, regain the right to occupy your space authentically. The emptying process activates a new vibration within the house, a vibration that invites balance, lightness, and natural breathing. When the walls once again have space to reflect light, when the corners stop hiding what is stagnant, when surfaces have a function again, and not just serve as a deposit for everything that was left aside. It's important to recognize that each item inside your home takes up more than just volume. He takes up attention, it takes up energy, takes up memory, and all of this is intertwined with your emotional state. That's why emptying is so transformative, because he doesn't just move the shelves or drawers, he changes the way your mind organizes itself, in the way you deal with your thoughts, your choices, and even your time. Emptying is giving space back its right to breathe. It's opening up space for full presence. It's allowing the environment to talk to you again in a light, fluid, serene way. The home that welcomes you is the one that knows when to silence, and silence begins in the void. Not an emptiness absent of life, but an emptiness full of intention, a space that was left free to be occupied by something new, something real, something that sustains you in the now. Peace does not come in the midst of chaos. It arrives when there is space for it to expand. The healing void is, then, the first gesture of deep well-being. It is the foundation on which new energy will be built. It is the starting point for a home that stops oppressing and begins to support. At this moment, it is possible to imagine the images. People taking everything out of a room, moving furniture lightly, folding clothes, consciously, stacking books and papers that had long been forgotten on a high shelf. The movements are fast, but full of presence. There is no rush. There is rhythm. And within this rhythm, the transformation begins to manifest itself clearly. Each item removed, each space freed, is an internal release as well. It's as if, with each object that leaves, a layer of tension dissolves. As if, with each box closed, a new window opens inside you. The energy in the environment immediately responds to the emptying. Air circulates more fluidly. Light finds new paths. The gaze stops hitting obstacles and begins to rest. And it is in this visual rest that the mind finds rest. A balanced mind begins to form in environments that offer breathing. Harmony is established when there is space between the elements, when the environment stops being about quantity and becomes about quality, about meaning, about presence. Emptiness need not be feared. It needs to be understood as an essential step in the process of reconnecting with your home and with yourself. Creating a true refuge starts here, in the remove gesture, to let go, to release what no longer supports, what weighs, what occupies for the sake of occupying. And when this process is done with intention, the space transforms before your eyes, and you transform along with it. What once seemed like just a crowded room now turns out to be fertile territory, an open field for well-being to flourish, a place where vital energy can move without blockages, where home becomes home again, and not just a setting or deposit of memories disconnected from the present. This healing void needs to be lived with courage and dedication, because emptying is trusting that free space is more valuable than autocomplete, that absence, when intentional, is presence in pure form, that the silence of the environment is an invitation to inner listening, and every less object can mean more space for you, more peace, more clarity, more real well-being. This all starts when you decide to create this space, when you open the doors, windows, and corners of the house, and let the wind take away what no longer belongs. And what comes after that is even more revealing, because emptiness is just the beginning. The next step is learning what to do with this newly created space and how to fill it with true intention. Creating space is creating possibility. By emptying with intention, you have already begun a powerful movement of liberation, of lightness, of reconnection with the energy of the environment and with your own presence. That silent gesture that you have visualized or even begun to experience carries a real impact, and that impact can spread. Every time someone finds the courage to let go of excess, a new space opens up, inside and outside. As you feel this transformation begin, liking this video becomes a natural gesture, almost like opening a window for this wind of change to reach more people. This is how this energy expands, house by house, presence by presence. Your touch here helps this message reach exactly where it needs to go, into homes that, like yours, are ready to breathe again. Light is the first piece of furniture in a conscious home. Even before the objects take place, before the colors present themselves, before the decoration expresses the style of those who inhabit the space, it is the light that prepares the ground. It is she who opens the way for the energy of the environment to organize itself. It is the light that reveals, that softens, that delimits, and that transforms the way each room is perceived. More than a visual function, lighting is an emotional tool, a subtle but powerful key that regulates mood, focus, calm, and the very feeling of belonging within the home. Lighting is not a detail, it's presence, and above all, care. Because the right light activates life in a room. It awakens sensations that align the space with the soul of whoever occupies it. There is a clear difference between a lit house and a living house. The first can have lamps in each room. The second allows light to move with intention, following the cycles of the day, mind, body, and emotions. In a home with balanced energy, lighting flows like time. It respects the dawn, welcomes the mid-afternoon, calms the beginning of the night. Sunlight coming through windows is not just an aesthetic issue. It is an invitation to presence. It's the touch of nature crossing the boundary between outside and inside. It is the heat that activates the vitality of the space. When natural light finds space to enter, it brings with it more than clarity. She brings life, an open window, a light curtain that dances with the wind, a golden beam crossing the room. Every detail of this scenario directly influences the energy of the environment. The body notices. The mind slows down. The air seems cleaner. The house breathes better. In moments of recollection, when the sun says goodbye, another type of light begins to gain importance. The yellowish, soft light that does not hurt the eyes or the spirit. This light has the power to create shelter, to tune the energy of the space with the more introspective emotional state at the end of the day. It is this illumination that invites you to rest, to silence, to dive within. Lights with a focused focus, candles that warm the environment, strings of lights that emit a subtle glow. All of this contributes to an atmosphere that sustains well-being and reinforces the feeling of welcome. Each type of light speaks to an emotion. Intense white light stimulates attention, activates the rational mind, prepares the field for productivity. Warm light invites affection, relaxation, emotional pause. Diffused light softens shadows and creates more delicate transitions between inside and outside, between what is visible and what is at rest. Built-in lighting, in turn, provides sensations of continuity, while small, directed points of light reveal details that demand recognition. A painting, an object, a plant, everything that is illuminated with intention gains presence, gain energy. Therefore, when looking at your home with a new eye, it is the light that should guide the beginning of change. Before changing furniture, before painting walls, adjust the way the light enters, how it circulates, how it is positioned, because lighting has the power to reconfigure space without moving a single object. A room that seemed cramped can turn out to be light. A room that seemed cold can become cozy. A forgotten corner can awaken a new function. Everything changes when the light changes. The energy of the environment accompanies this transformation naturally, and the mind responds with the same fluidity. It is possible to feel the difference that an environment lit with intention causes in the body. The posture changes, breathing lengthens, the look rests more gently. It's as if the space said, "Here you can relax, here you are safe, here is time to be." And this feeling is built in the details. No major interventions are necessary. Sometimes it all starts with swapping a light bulb for another with a warmer tone, or by removing a piece of furniture that blocked the entry of natural light, or by choosing a candle that accompanies the evening ritual. Enlightening is listening. It is understanding that each time of the day requires a different type of care. When waking up, the light needs to be gentle, like someone opening their eyes, slowly. That in the middle of the day, it can be intense, to activate the senses. And at dusk, she must know how to collect herself, as if inviting silence without rushing. The energy of the environment finds balance when lighting respects the rhythms of life. And when this respect happens, the home becomes a true support for emotional health, for light productivity, for a balanced mind. This all starts with a simple gesture, turning on a light with intention. Look at the effect it has on your body, your breathing, your thoughts. Understanding that the house responds immediately to the way it is lit. That light is not a compliment, but rather the first step to transforming the space into a refuge. That the light that enters is not only revealing the environment, but also awakening what was dormant within you. The soft glow on a clean wall, the golden reflection that warms the floor, the twilight that embraces without erasing. Each well-placed light heals a piece of the environment and soothes a piece of the soul. And from here, the path continues, because now that there is space and the light has found its way, the environment begins to prepare for what comes next. The transformation continues in motion. The house is ready to receive more, with lightness, with fluidity, with truth. And in the next steps, this energy will take shape. You will translate into conscious choices, in gestures that not only decorate, but sustain, in details that reveal a home that vibrates with you. The journey continues, and the light, now awakened, illuminates everything that comes after. There are gestures that carry silence, and at the same time, say it all. A light touch on a fabric, the fingers that run across the surface of a handmade ceramic, the hands that caress the leaves of a plant, as if awakening something dormant. These apparently simple movements are portals to creating a home that vibrates in tune with the soul of those who inhabit it. The ritual of touch is an invitation to presence. It is a gesture of affection that transforms the everyday act into subtle healing. Your home needs to feel like it's been touched with intention, because only what's touched with attention remains meaningful. Within an environment with balanced energy, no object is there by chance. Each item is part of an emotional story. Each choice made carries an intention, a meaning, a memory that contributes to the well-being and harmony of the space. The home that welcomes you is one that was carefully built through the emotional curation of objects. This means consciously choosing what comes in, what stays, and what goes. It is a process of listening and connecting. It's about realizing what resonates with you and what has stopped interacting with your present. Touch is not just physical contact, it's language. It is energetic exchange. When you pass your hand over a piece of furniture, over a vase, over the edge of a cushion, you transmit a frequency that activates that object. The touch awakens, the touch reverberates, and what is touched with respect becomes an ally of your well-being. When your home feels like it is being cared for with presence, it responds. The energy of the environment organizes itself. The feeling of belonging strengthens. The house then goes from functional to sensitive, from scenery to extension of its essence. This is the beauty of the touch ritual. It transforms the space without altering its structure. It softens the edges of everyday life. It reconnects you with the here and now. As you touch each item carefully, you begin to notice what is there just out of habit and what remains because it truly represents you. This has no relation to financial value, fashion, or trends. It has to do with vibration, with emotional connection, with the ability of that object to sustain the energy you want to cultivate inside your home. The emotional curation of objects is an act of self-care, because by choosing what surrounds you, you are, in fact, choosing what you want to live with internally. The house is a reflection of the mind. What occupies your space also occupies your attention. And when this attention is dispersed by things that have already lost their meaning, your energy is also dispersed. Therefore, touching is also recognizing. Recognize what matters, what has a soul, what deserves to remain, which still sustains beauty, affection, usefulness, and history. Imagine the scenes: a shelf being cleaned with cotton, cloth, not out of obligation, but with respect. An object being repositioned, not for aesthetics, but to receive light. A plant being watered with your fingers massaging the earth, feeling its texture. These moments of care create a vibrational field that settles in the environment and remains. The house feels, and whoever lives there feels together. The mind calms down when gestures are intentional. The energy of the home is strengthened when the details are nourished with presence. Touch with presence is different from automatic use. A plate placed on the table may just be a plate, or it may be part of a ritual that celebrates the act of eating. A rug can be just a decorative item, or it can be the place where you sit to breathe, read, calm down. The curtain you open in the morning could be the portal through which light enters, or it could be the symbolic gesture of allowing the day to begin lightly. It all depends on how you relate to what you touch, and it is at this point that home becomes an emotional sanctuary, because every gesture, every object, every surface takes on meaning. The sound of fingers gently tapping a ceramic cup, the way your hands glide over the antique wood of an inherited piece of furniture, changing a vase because there, under the afternoon sun, it blooms more strongly. These details make up the silent symphony of well-being. an invisible orchestra that plays every time you act consciously within your own home. This curation does not require haste. It happens in the time of presence. Every day, a small adjustment, a decision to keep, to move, to donate, a silent conversation between you and space. The environment begins to tell stories with more truth, and you start to feel more at home. The house stops just sheltering you and starts representing you. She gains a voice, get a pulse, gain soul. And all of this comes from touch, from the hand that cares, from the gesture that recognizes, from the attention that transforms. The touch. Ritual, then, is not a technique. It is a practice of affection. It is a way of experiencing space with your entire body. It's remembering that home doesn't need rush, but presence. That the objects don't need to be many, but they need to be right. That the environment doesn't need to be perfect, but it needs to be true. Touch reveals what deserves to stay, and what comes next is even deeper. Because after realizing, emptying, illuminating, and touching, the time comes to ask yourself, what is? Here is nourishing me. And it is with this sensitive look that we move on to the next step, where intention becomes atmosphere, where the home, already awake, prepares to be more than space. It prepares to be living emotion. You have already touched your home with presence. Have you ever felt, even if in a subtle way, how a conscious gesture can transform the energy of the environment and give meaning back to what was previously just a habit? This is already transformation. It is already a real movement of reconnection between you and your space. And now, this care that started in your hands can reach other homes. Imagine how many people are living in silently disconnected homes, surrounded by soulless objects, by environments that scream for attention, but have not yet been heard. When you share this video, you give back that key, a key that opens awareness to intentional touch, to the gesture that heals, to the home that vibrates. Sharing is spreading presence. It's like lighting a candle in another room. Its light doesn't go out, it just multiplies. This content has the power to touch other lives with the same delicacy it touched yours. And whoever feels this understands. This change is intimate, but also collective. It begins in the silence of your home, but echoes in the world of those who are ready to experience the space as an emotional sanctuary. May this gesture continue to expand. May each touch of intention reach more hands, more eyes, more hearts. Your sharing is the next step on this journey, and it starts now. There is a language that precedes words, older than any gesture, and more sensitive than any visible form. It is the language of sound, and within a home that becomes an emotional refuge, sound is not background noise. It is an active, pulsating presence that shapes the atmosphere and reorganizes the energy of the environment in a subtle and continuous way. The sound of the refuge is not loud, it is not invasive, nor does it demand attention. It acts on the deepest vibration of the house, touching that which is invisible to the eye, but immediately recognizable by the soul. The most healing sound is the one that is barely heard, but it still makes sense. It's like the whisper of the wind between the leaves, the gentle trickle of water in a fountain, the delicate tinkling of bells that dance with the movement of the air. These sounds do not interrupt the silence, they integrate with it. And it is this integration that makes the home a place of restoration, a space where the mind finds stillness without effort, where the body relaxes without command, where the energy of the environment is in tune with the natural rhythms of inner life. Creating this soundscape is an essential part of building a true refuge, and that starts with listening. Listen to the sounds that already exist inside your home, the sound of the refrigerator vibrating all the time, the constant noise of traffic coming in through the window, the echo of empty space that amplifies each step. All of this shapes the way you feel within the environment. Therefore, before even adding new sounds, it is necessary to recognize and soften the sounds that tire, that disperse, that agitate. Eliminating these noises is a form of purification. It's like removing excess from a room so it can breathe. Only, in this case, what is released is the auditory field. And with this cleaning done, the conscious introduction of healing sounds now has space to act. Sounds that act as vibrational medicine. 3 elements stand out in this process: the sound of water, the sound of wind, and the sound of soft instruments with natural tuning. Small fountains, with continuous waterfall, create an environment of constant flow. Moving water activates a feeling of freshness, renewal, and presence. It cleans the sound air of the space and brings an ancestral feeling of life. The wind, when passing through light curtains, chimes, or mobiles with metal or bamboo bells, brings with it a frequency of freedom. It not only moves the physical air, but also the emotional energy that circulates in the house. And when both are present, the home begins to emit a vibration that supports the balanced mind in an almost imperceptible but profoundly effective way. In addition to natural elements, the choice of soundtracks also acts as a powerful harmonization tool. Ambient music with instruments such as soft piano, harps, bamboo flutes, sounds of nature mixed with sustained notes. All of this contributes to creating a sound atmosphere that induces a state of deep calm. It's not about filling the room with music. It's about sowing sound with silence, allowing the soundtrack of your home to be made up of pauses, of breaths, of sounds that come and go like gentle waves. Purposeful silence is as important as the presence of sound, because that's where the mind settles. It is there that stimuli cease and perception expands. Within silence, each sound gains power, because it does not compete with excess. A home that embraces silence as part of its sound composition is a home that offers rest to the nervous system, that reduces invisible tension, that makes room for clarity and deep self-care. Therefore, when building your home's soundtrack, it is essential to observe which frequencies awaken real states of well-being in you. What sounds help you enter a state of presence? Which sounds relax the muscles of your body, soften your thoughts, open space for introspection? Sounds have memory, they have intention, they have vibration, and your choice directly influences the energy of the environment and your emotional state. Play gentle bells when you wake up to clearly mark the start of the day. Let the water flow for a few minutes while you prepare the space for a mindful break. Play a light soundtrack at the end of the afternoon, while the light changes tone and invites you to retreat. Put the sound at the service of your rhythm, and your home will begin to vibrate with more harmony, as if it were singing softly to remind you, you are home, you are safe, this is a place of healing. At this point in the journey, the space has been emptied, the light repositioned, the objects touched with intention. And now, it is the sound that begins to stitch all these elements together into a new vibration. The house begins to gain a new frequency, a frequency that accompanies your breathing, that adjusts to your silence, that respects your limits. The refugee's soundtrack is not made to cheer up. It is made to sustain, to align body and mind with the present time, to broaden the perception of what is essential. And this alignment continues, because the next step is to delve even deeper into how the environment communicates and sustains your internal state, and how, from this, your home increasingly becomes an extension of your well-being. Your home is the skin of your soul. Every wall that breathes lightly, every object that vibrates with meaning, every ray of light that gently touches the floor, all of this is reflected in you. And now that the space around you has begun to align with how you feel inside, something essential has already moved. You are no longer just in one place. You are in an environment that recognizes you, a refuge that listens to you, that welcomes you, that gives you back presence. This video was an invitation to sensitivity, a close look at the energy of the environment, at how the house speaks to you in every detail. And now it's your turn to talk to her and to us. Comment below which moment touched you the most. A sensation, an image, an insight. Also, write down the first detail of your home that you will transform from today onwards. It can be a song, a sound, a light, an object. Saying this in words is like planting an intention. And if you want to leave a suggestion for future videos, this space is yours too. Here, each comment is another voice that builds this community that breathes well-being with conscience. If this content resonates with what you experience, like the video, this simple gesture is like turning on a light in another home, and it has the power to bring this silent transformation to other people who are also looking for a place that truly welcomes them. This is how this energy spreads, from house to house, from presence to presence, and to continue living this process of transformation in every room, in every breath. Subscribe to the channel here, because being part of this community is more than watching videos. It's choosing to live in environments that support your balanced mind, your emotional well-being, and your everyday peace. Here, each content is designed so that your home increasingly becomes a space that returns you to your axis, and there's more waiting for you. In the next video, we will further delve into this relationship between the space that surrounds you and the energy that moves you. Get him ready to watch next. Your home is still waiting for you. Thanks for being here. Your presence is part of something bigger. Every time you breathe better, your home breathes with you. And every time you take care of your space, you are, in fact, taking care of its essence. And never forget, your home is an extension of your balance. Take care of her, and she will take care of you.